Well, thank you very much for your time and standing in the freezing cold. First of all, I would like to ask what do you do at your practice? What's your, briefly?
Okay, well, welcome here to Dobbs Farm. My name is Matthew Dobbs. I'm a director of Westpoint Veterinary Group. Westpoint is a group of veterinary practices. We have 12 branches across the UK, and we apply a service to farms only, just like the farm we're here at today. We look after dairy cows, beef cows, pigs, sheep, and even quite a lot of poultry and game birds as well. Our practices are all over the UK, from the north in Cumbria, from the southwest in Cornwall, and here just south of London, near Gatwick Airport in West Sussex.
And today we would like to talk about biosecurity. In Japan, it's quite a new concept in farming community.
Yes.
And why is it so important to have a high standard biosecurity on the farm? And what are you actually doing?
Security is a very difficult principle for many farmers to start on their farms. It's so difficult because it can interfere with their normal management of the farm and the normal way that they will operate. Classically here in the UK, cattle get traded, and cattle moving around from farm to farm are a big risk for spreading diseases and therefore impacting on biosecurity. However, we understand that spreading diseases from farm to farm is very, very costly. In the UK in 2001 and then more recently in 2007, we had a foot and mouth outbreak where the disease can spread from farm to farm because of poor biosecurity. But also for a number of endemic diseases within the UK. We have a number of viral diseases like infectious bovine rhinotracheitis and bovine viral diarrhea, which can easily be spread from cow to cow and also from farm to farm by the movement of animals from farm to farm and also by the movement of people carrying those diseases with them. So it's absolutely vital that farmers really take biosecurity very, very seriously, not just in the case of a notifiable disease outbreak such as foot and mouth disease, but also in their day-to-day activities. And since 2001, many farmers have taken the issue of biosecurity far more seriously. Obviously, the understanding of the impact of a disease such as foot and mouth disease, if poor biosecurity is followed, is of great importance. But also many farmers now understand the importance of spreading diseases just by the daily movement of animals, objects and themselves from farm to farm. So the farmers have worked very, very hard to try and improve their standards of biosecurity and to try and understand what are the biggest risks when it comes to transmitting diseases from farm to farm.
And what do you actually do to sort of spread the word?
Right. Because biosecurity is a difficult principle sometimes to first of all understand and then to act out on the farm, it's often better to show a farmer how he can improve his biosecurity and to do it via demonstration rather than simply telling him, which can be very, very dry. So as part of Westpoint Veterinary Group, we work very, very hard with our farmers to run farmer meetings, farmer workshops. Most of these are held on farm situations just like we have here today, where we can really show farmers the principles of good biosecurity and reducing the spread of disease. And farmers learn best, we find, when they're in an environment that they're most comfortable with, and that's on the farm itself, working with the cattle. And if they can see by demonstration what other people are doing to improve biosecurity, they're more likely to adopt these techniques and technologies themselves. So we run about 250 meetings a year through Westpoint Veterinary Group, and many of those have an important biosecurity angle. Some of those meetings are solely based on looking at biosecurity issues. We have a number of diseases in the UK which are causing problems to cattle populations. For example, tuberculosis is ravaging parts of the southwest and the northwest where there are large cattle populations, and so therefore encouraging these farmers also that biosecurity is important, is of national importance as well as of a local farm level importance.
And you have already talked about the improvement of biosecurity since 2001.
Yeah.
What else has changed in your job since the outbreak of 2001?
Okay, since 2001 we've seen many changes within agriculture in the UK. Firstly, we've seen a squeeze on agricultural prices, so the price of milk and meat that the farmers receive has been squeezed, often by the retailers. We've seen the growth and the dominance of supermarkets in the UK in terms of retailing meat and milk, and that's meant the margins that farmers have to work on have been a lot smaller. So they have to be very, very careful about how they invest. Farmers haven't got huge amounts of money to build great big concrete palaces where they can be assured of the biosecurity. So they have to think about lower cost alternatives, cheap ways of putting biosecurity measures in place that are effective. And classically these can be things like looking at how they avoid transmitting diseases from farm to farm by movement of animals and also by movement of people, visitors and things like that from the farm. So the agricultural landscape across the UK over the last 10 years has changed significantly, and increasingly important is biosecurity as a measure of good farming practice.
Do you think biosecurity, I mean, it's better to have precaution rather than waiting for the disease to happen?
Sure, yeah, certainly. Taking a proactive approach to biosecurity, to reducing disease and then keeping it at a low level is going to pay far more dividends than trying to react to a problem once you have it. So a number of our farmers now across the practices have understood the importance of looking at some of the endemic diseases, trying to control them on the farm, either by vaccination or by trying to eradicate those diseases. But equally important is then how they manage their farm going forwards so that they don't reintroduce those diseases once they've gone to the big effort of eliminating or reducing them in the first place. And many farmers understand that the investment that they need to do that is vitally important to keep their animals healthy and to keep their biosecurity to the highest levels. And so we work with farmers in many different ways. We work with them in terms of face-to-face meetings on farm, via demonstration, showing them the importance. We have newsletters, so we write to our farmers telling them of the latest things with regard to biosecurity. We also use our websites and information is available both in blog format and in newsletter format to help farmers understand the importance of reducing disease levels and then avoiding spreading diseases between farm to farm, i.e. good biosecurity practice.
And despite all these precautions, if there is a suspicion of infection of those diseases, what do you have to do?
Yeah, obviously we're working very, very hard to improve our biosecurity, but there are always more improvements we could make. Some industries in the UK have gone to great lengths to improve their biosecurity, particularly the poultry industry and the pig industry. But there are always innate difficulties with having such high level of biosecurity in the cattle industries as it is in pig and poultry. So there's always the risk that biosecurity could break down and a disease could occur. Particularly, obviously, that's important from a national viewpoint is if we get another outbreak of a national disease such as foot and mouth disease. And so if we suspect an outbreak of a disease such as that, it's imperative that the vet who's identified that stays on the farm where they suspect the disease. They will then contact the government vets who are called animal health. They will then take a risk-based approach as to whether that disease is present on the farm. They will often send one of their government vets out as well to investigate, and then samples will be sent to our regional laboratory based at Pirbright, who will then decide whether there's been a case of foot and mouth disease or not. In the meantime, the vet and the farmer are not allowed to visit any other livestock to try and avoid the spread of that disease. And hopefully very quickly, certainly within 24 hours, we can then get a result as to whether there's been an outbreak of disease or not. And then obviously a variety of measures then kick in place with regard to movement of stock, both regionally and nationally, and the government sets up a control centre where it controls the management of that disease.
Do you think this contingency system has been improved, sort of lessons has been learned in 2001 and it has been improved?
Sure. After the 2001 outbreak of foot and mouth disease, the government felt that they could certainly do a better job if there was a subsequent breakdown of disease. And so the government have been investing a lot of money, and the industry have been helping to create national measures that could be rolled out in the event of a disease outbreak. And these have been worked out by government and by industry. They have had practice scenarios where they've pretended that there's been a disease outbreak, and they've put in place the measures necessary to control that disease, to see whether the protocols and the processes that have been thought about and adopted would actually work in the case of a disease scenario. And so I'm very confident that our industry has worked very hard to try and limit the impact of any future disease outbreak that we may have here in the UK.